What is up, everybody? It's your boy Young Fizz, aka Mr. Dope Status on Instagram, and welcome back to another video. So today, this one may be a little bit lengthy because there is a lot to unpack. There's a lot of stuff going on in the production community here on YouTube in general, and I want to make sure you guys are getting some value. So if you are, hit that like button. If you want to support the channel, you can hit that like button. Also, drop a comment below. And that just lets me know that you guys are getting some value, because I just want to offer you guys value and a lot of insight on these products here that no other influencer can offer you, because it's going to be a biased opinion because they do get these products for free. So of course they're going to, offer you, tell you to go run out and buy these products and show you the good side, but they're not going to talk about the flaws. But the reason I'm able to is because I don't have no connection to Akai or Ableton, but I do get some kickback from Maschine using the links down in the description below if you do purchase it using my link. Also, speaking of the Maschine, I do have a lot of tutorials, over 100 on my channel, which is Fizz ENT. Go to the playlist section. You can view all 100 Maschine tutorials or get other stuff from there. If you don't want to do that, you can also download the course from the description below. So today, I want to go ahead and get into the video. We're going to be talking about Akai MPC XSE, Ableton Push 3, and then the Maschine Plus. So let's go ahead and get started here. So the first things are the first, right? Why did I pick these products to showcase? Because the Akai MPC XSE, which is the special edition, just dropped. And some of you heard my thoughts on that. Some of you may have not heard my thoughts. You can always go back on my page and look at my MPC content. Those 3 videos, I think it says enough. But basically, it's a drum machine. So the next thing, Ableton, another, I guess, quote unquote, drum machine. And welcome to the drum machine world, because it has this standalone computer in it now. So basically it's standalone. And then you have the Maschine Plus, which came out. And some of you may have heard my opinion on this. I love Native Instruments. Shout out to Native Instruments. But this one, I don't think was, a hit, unfortunately. And I speak about this in another video. But basically, again, so we're looking at the Akai MPC Special Edition. This is the X, the Special Edition. Then we have the Ableton Push 3 and the Maschine Plus. So the first thing that I want you to understand is the price. So we want to make sure we're all getting value. And one of the first questions that we ask is always, how much does it cost? We see all the bells and whistles. The number one thing, we want to make sure we're buying within our budget. So we're asking ourselves, what is the cost? So I have it on the screen here. As you can see, the Akai MPC, the XSE, is $2,500. The Ableton Push retails at $2,000, and then the Maschine Plus retails at $1,200. So the price, in my opinion, I guess pretty good. I guess, it is what it is. That's what the price is. To me, it's a fair price for what you're getting. But like I said, with Akai and the sound, it's a whole nother issue there, because the Akai is like the Rolls Royce of the drum machines. It's supposed to be the best of the best. This is a special edition, so it's supposed to, sound legendary, I guess, in my opinion. But not everyone agrees with that opinion, but that's the debate for the other videos. You can go leave a comment on those videos. But I really want to highlight the Ableton Push 3, because this, I guess, technically drum machine just dropped not too long ago. And the reason why I have it saying for 2,000, I did round up the numbers. So let's look at the Ableton Push. So this one here, you have a couple of buying options. You have the standalone unit, and then you also have the unit in which it's just you can connect it to the computer. And there's alternatives such as the Maschine Plus. So this is a standalone unit, but you have a Mark III, which is kind of like the MIDI version of the Ableton Push that just connects to the computer, if that makes any sense. I hope that made sense. Let me see if I can find the page here. It talks about the warranty. Let me see, go back here. If I can't find it, then I'll probably get to it later on. I don't know, maybe it's the buy now. Let me check the buy now. I'm in the tech specs right now. Okay, so yeah, here. Okay, so you have the Push, which is standalone. That's $19.99. So like I said, 2,000, and then you have the Push, which is about 1,000 or so, right? And that's just to connect your Push to your computer. So if you just want the Push connected to your computer without the audio interface, then it's going to be $1,000. Now, it talks about somewhere else we can upgrade it later on with a conversion kit, so it's upgradable. And that's another thing that's a good point. The fact that it's upgradable is pretty awesome to know about, right? Hopefully you guys are getting some value out of this video. If you are, make sure you hit that like button. So let me go ahead and go over to the Akai MPC Pro, because that's where I really want to start. So they all have something called an audio interface, right? So what exactly is an audio interface? So an audio interface is hardware that allows the input and output of audio signals to and from a host computer or recording device. So all of these drum machines have a computer inside of them. Not all computers are equal, and we're going to find out about that later on. But for now, we're just looking at the audio interface portion, right? So that's basically what an audio interface is. So in other words, it acts as a bridge between audio signals, converting them to a format your computer understands. So one of the things to understand is that it happens with both digital and analog signals. And so how does this happen? It uses something called a converter. And so one of the main components of an interface is the converter. Some of the other components might include a mic pre or instrument inputs. And we're going to get to all that here in a second. So that's the number one thing, right? So we have 3 drum machines, Akai MPC X SE, Ableton Push, and the Maschine Plus. And then we have the price, and then we have the audio interface. So they all have the audio interface. So I just marked an X here so we know what's going on. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting because they have different inputs and outputs. That's what the I/O is, this the inputs and outputs. So if I come over to the specs on Akai's website, we can see it talks about the key specs, right? They're just highlighting, of course, the good stuff. They talk about the pads, the knobs, the buttons, the display, which I guess is kind of cool because it has a 10-inch display and then also has the tilt screen as well. So that is a really nice feature to look at when you have a true standalone unit. And we're defining standalone as to be used solely without a computer, right? So no computer involved. All you have is device. That means you can be, sitting on your bed making beats, nothing plugged into the wall, completely standalone. And so that's what these 3 devices are able to do. Again, they're not made equally. So going on, so you have the display, you have the memory, and I talk about this with the next one, which is the CPU here, right? So the CPU and the memory, right? So I have the different processors, and this talks about this right here, the quad core ARM processor. So you have the ARM processor, and then you have the Intel. And this is where it gets interesting a little bit more because you have the CPU, which is the ARM processor, which is basically a better processor than the Intel. I'm not saying Intel is bad. Intel is actually pretty good, but you see what Apple has done. If you're familiar with the iPhone, then you understand Apple have moved to these ARM chips. They've been using them in the iPad and other devices for a long time, and they're able to do a lot more with the iPad and the iPhones and all this other stuff and save some space. And they also move them to their desktop computers because they're so powerful. And the most important thing is that they save on energy and power and all this other stuff. So that's what makes ARM a little bit better than the Intel. So with the Akai MPC, they decided to go with the ARM. So that could probably justify why the price tag is at $2,500, because these chips are going to cost you a pretty penny depending on which ones that you get. See, the thing about it, we don't know which ARM chip that they're using. They could be, is it a newer model? Is it an older model? Or is it just enough to get the job done? And so these are some of the questions that I kind of ask myself. I wish they would put more information about the processors so I know exactly what I'm getting. But however, it does include 4 gigabytes of RAM. Then it says storage 48 gigabytes, over 10 gigabytes available for user storage, right? So let me see here. We got RAM memory. So we talk about that. The RAM memory, 4 gigabytes. So in the Ableton Push, I noted that it has 8 gigabytes and then the Maschine has the 4 gigabytes. And let me go back over here to go to the specs of the Push. So I'm just going to go to the Push here. And then let's go to the tech specs for the Push just to verify, everything is correct here. So let's see, connectivity, got the hardware. There's somewhere on here that says more specs. I just got to find it. Up there. Is that right? The audio interface? That might be it there. I like to see the specs in its entirety. So see audio interface specs. Let's see what this is about. So they even have a full specs on the audio interface, which is pretty cool because Maschine does the exact same thing. And I'm gonna have to call out Maschine for this because this is interesting right here. I didn't mention this earlier, but this is a standalone drum machine and sampler for beat makers up here. And then when you get down a little bit, it says standalone production and performance instrument. And then when you look down here, it's gonna say a groove box like no other. So it's kind of confusing what really Maschine is. And this is the Maschine Plus, but it does have the the total harmonic distortion, with the noise, all that stuff. It has it all outlined, and that's good that they have these. So I kind of see what I'm getting myself into, which is pretty good. That's pretty helpful. Sample rate up to 96, bit depth is 24 bits, so you can kind of see what you're getting. And like I said, that's a good thing because that's exactly what you want to pay attention to. You want to see what you're getting. Let me see if I can find some more specs here. That's the upgrade kit. I talked about that a little bit earlier. The upgrade kit that you can get if you get the MIDI controller stuff. So that means basically it's expandable. Let me see here. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. You jump to inputs and outputs. Let me check my other notes here. So as far as the specs, so the specs are pretty good here. So we can see the specs here. But then when we come over to Akai, we don't really see too many specs there. I mean, it has the connections, which is good. I talk about that a little bit here with the display screen. You had noticed the Ableton push screen. They have the flat built-in screen, and then the screen for the Maschine Plus has the two screens built in side by side, as you can see right here. Then I asked myself, does it come with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi? Because we're talking about 2023. We're talking about the technology here, right? Does it have Bluetooth and does it have the Wi-Fi, right? Are we able to, send files to and from, over Wi-Fi? Or do we have to, hook a wire up to the computer? Or is the Wi-Fi just for solely, doing upgrades and downloads for, the firmware and stuff like that? So that's the kind of stuff that I look at. And it's like, you got to go to these sites and really compare and contrast and really, figure out, what does what. So let me go back to the push here, go back to Akai. And so it has MIDI. I would hope they all come with MIDI. And then one of the main things about the Ableton Push 3 that I didn't mention yet is the MPE, right? So what is MPE? So MPE basically stands for MIDI polyphonic expression. And what can you do with the MPE technology? So basically you can bend the pitch, you can modify the volume and the resonance all at the same time, like a string on an instrument. So basically it's giving you like this expression type of feel, right? It's giving you that realism of an actual instrument. Maybe you can't play the steel guitar, but with the Ableton Push, you'll be able to play the guitar. Let me go back here. I don't know what happened. Let me go ahead and go back one more again. So right here, so it's telling you when you click the overview button, it tells you that it's an expressive standalone instrument. That's exactly what it's telling you. It is what it is, and they're showing the MPE pads. So what you can do, and it kind of reminds me of the Roger Lynn, the Lynn instrument, I believe is what it's called. And so that's like the main selling point of the Ableton Push, is that it has the MPE and then that it's standalone. And see, because Ableton Push 3 is now standalone, it kind of can compete with the Akai MPC XSE. Now Maschine, as I said before, it's a standalone computer, but I think it kind of fell on the short end of things. And so if you look at it, these are the specifications of the Maschine. You have the quad processor, you have the 4 GB dual RAM, the 32 eMMC flash storage. You have the 2 colors that I mentioned, but there's no, upgradability. It's like you get this, it is what it is. And so there's no way you can really upgrade and, to stay modern for like the next so many years, over the next maybe like 5 or 7 years or however long it's going to be around. And so that brings me to my next point, which is why I believe they might just have a new type of machine coming out. But this right now is all speculation. We don't know. Native Instruments did change their logo. I don't know if they're going to be putting, printing new logos on their latest products yet. I don't know. But it leads me to believe that they might just be coming out with the Maschine Plus Touch or something. You know what I'm saying? Something that's just new and just improved. But in order to beat out Ableton, they're going to have to come with technology because, like I said before, their RAM, their memory, this is pretty good. But Native Instruments is known for their sound, their huge sound libraries, and that was one of the downfalls that I spoke about in another video about why it's better to get the Mark III versus the Maschine Plus. It's because of that downfall of you might as well just hook it to the computer. Unless you are going to be performing live with the Maschine Plus and you don't have any outlets nearby, then, you know, and plus you have to be performing full time, then it's probably worth getting the Maschine Plus. But for the most part, I think for most users, the Mark III is going to be just fine. So that's just my opinion. But hey, someone else may see it differently. You can always comment down below your thoughts. But yeah, that's basically the Akai MPC XSE, the Ableton Push 3, and then the Maschine. You got to ask yourself, what are you using this device for, right? So are you that guitar player that's going to be sitting at home recording loops and manipulating loops, creating loop packs for people? Because you can do that with the Maschine Plus, or you can do it with the MK3, as I mentioned, and save another, you know, $600, because the Maschine, I believe Mark III cost about $600 at the time of making this video. Or you can get an alternative. And I must say that Ableton Push 3, you can also connect this to a computer when Ableton runs also as a DAW as well. So now you have the option between working, like I said, with standalone, which I mentioned in the beginning of this video, is these three devices. They're all standalone devices. So another question I ask myself, is this device upgradable? Meaning, can I expand the RAM? Do I have SSD capabilities? Can I download more sounds and store them on the device? You know, or on an SSD that I can hook in that's not hanging out the back of it or something. You know, that to me, that it looks so tacky when you have a beautiful drum machines like these drum machines here, and then you have like this big dongle just hanging out the side of it, like it's like alien antennas or something. It's just it's crazy. It's like, why not put it under the hood, have an easy installation of a, you know, one of those fast SSD chips or something, and then just and be done with it. But that's just one of my gripes there. And then I talk about the connectivity, right? So, you know, how can you connect these devices together? So the cool thing about the Ableton Push 3 is that it has something called ADAT, and I'm already having some ideas with the ADAT. That's why I say under input and output, it's important to understand what you're getting, because when you go back to the tech specs, ADAT is pretty cool technology, especially with the way I'm thinking of it, because you can, with ADAT now, of course you're going to need good converters, but you're also going to need, you know, good working clock when working with digital gear. If you're syncing all your digital gear together, you're going to need a good clock. But with ADAT, what I'm saying is there's this company called Cranbourne Audio, and they make some type of, I guess I want to say like an expansion of an interface. So you might want to have the Push 3 connect to the, you know, the Cranbourne Audio, their ADAT expansion, to get some hardware involved in your setup, right? That's just a possibility, but I don't know how that's going to work. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking in my mind, you know, using these ADATs right here on the screen. You can see how it has an ADAT in and ADAT out. So if you have ADAT cables, you just plug it in and out. And see, the cool thing about ADAT, it says additional 8 inputs and outputs. So this device right here can transfer up to 8 basically paths of audio, or signal of audio, right? Channels of audio. So that's what the ADAT does. It carries 8 channels of audio. So this one goes in and out. So that's the cool thing about, you know, with ADAT. Now, the Akai MPC, I think they have about 8 analog outputs. I would have to check the connection here. They have, you know, the 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch CV gates outputs, headphones. They have so they have all different type of connections. And that's another thing that I'm trying to let people know, that this is important information that people need to realize before they get the product that they're looking for, because there's all these type of possibilities that you can do to create your music at a cheaper price, right? So if you have money to spend, like I said, if you want to buy the Rolls Royce, you can go ahead and spend the $2,500, but you're not going to get the best sound as possible. Now you can use the Ableton Push 3 standalone, $2,000, and then spend a couple thousand, you know, upgrading your, you know, plugging it in via ADAT, or, you know, send it out to, you know, the way I'm thinking of it, you can send it out to some analog gear and then use it that way. or you can just get the Maschine Plus. Maybe, like I said, you're maybe just a loop maker or, a simple drum programmer, and you just may, or even a performer, and you may just use the Maschine Plus. It's a lot cheaper, So there's a lot of different possibilities with these devices here. And that's what I really like about the Ableton Push 3, because it seems like they're pushing the technology forward. And this, of course, is about the specs, right? Now, like I said, the influencers, they'll take these devices, they'll get them out the box, and they'll make it look cool just by, their Sony or Canon cameras shooting, great B-roll. That's cool. But what I'm more interested in is the sound demos, the automation in the products, the stuff that you can do that the typical people are not going to show you, or just provide some information, kind of like I'm doing for you now. It's just to provide that information and get me thinking about the possibilities that I can do if I were to purchase these devices, right? Another tip that I want to give you is to always glance at the manual before you even think about buying the product, right? So maybe, you're thinking about getting an Ableton Push Akai MPC or the Maschine Plus, right? Just go and download the manual and just kind of glance at the manual just to see, what's in the manual. I think that's very important. One of the reasons why I say always glance at the manual is because there's this one time that I didn't pay attention to the Roland Optic Capture, right? I bought an interface. It was the Roland Optic Capture right here, as you can see on the screen. And they had it advertised as 24-bit 192. So you come down to the specs, you start reading the specs, and then you soon realize that number right here says number of audio record playback channels, right? 44, 1, 48, and 96. Record 10 channels, playback 10 channels. But if you are using 192 kilohertz, you can only record 4 channels and 4 channels of playback at 192. So that's why I say it's important to read the manual, because you see, I bought this device thinking that I can record at a sample rate of 192. But little did I know that it can only be played back at 4 channels. And I'm thinking this is a box for the future. I can always use this to, if I decide to expand, or if I need to, do some type of high sample rate recording, I can do so. But because I didn't pay attention and I didn't read the fine specs on the screen, or, browse with the manual, I missed out on that opportunity. I just completely didn't pay attention to that. So that was my fault. I have nobody else but to blame but myself. But this is the kind of stuff that I think about, and I just want to show you guys, and I want you guys to be aware of, because no other influencer that's going to give you an unbiased opinion about these 3 products right here. So again, when you look at these 3 products, right, the Akai MPC X, the Push, and then you look at the Maschine Plus, right, you got to look at all the specs, right? Look under the hood, look at the interface, right? What type of interface you're getting, the I/O, what kind of inputs and outputs, right? What kind of CPU is it using, right? Is it using an ARM, which is faster than the Intel? Is it using a sufficient amount of RAM/memory? Does it have a built-in tilt screen, or does it use a flat screen? Does it have the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth for file transfer? Does it have MIDI? I mean, I would hope so. Does it have the MPE technology? And that's what I say for Maschine. I don't know if this is even possible for Maschine to have the MPE technology with the pads like it is. Maybe, maybe not. But that would probably be something I'd be interested in seeing in the future. I always tell myself the company that is going to get my business is the one of the product that sounds good and that has the best technology all built in. Because we're in 2023, I should be able to take my iPad and just simply use that as a screen and just kind of connect it to the back of an MPC, maybe either wirelessly, or even have a cable, a small cable, or just, having to prop it up, kind of like the keypads for the iPads, So I think technology like that, I think it's important. And then having to collaborate between the products, so have each product talk to each other. Maybe we have producers that have 2 machines in the studio, maybe have them talk to one another, right? So you can do maybe some type of like live performance with, among one another, communicating the devices, right? So just cool stuff like that. So again, this is the Akai MPC X SE, Ableton Push 3, and the Maschine Plus. So I hope you found some value in this video. Again, if you did, make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment. And if you do like stuff like this, please hit that subscribe button, as I would be doing some breakdowns. I do machine tutorials, and every once in a while, I'll talk about other relevant audio content as well. So if you made it to the end of the video, Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We will see you on the next video. It's your boy Young Fizz, Mr. Dope Status on Instagram. Leave a comment. We out.